Hello everybody, this is Hybrid, and today I'll be reviewing Amazing Spider-Man issue number 693. So this basically continues the whole story arc right now that we have with Alpha, which if you saw my last review, you know I'm not that happy about the character. So I'll do a quick recap, and then also I'll do my scores, and I'll actually have a theory to what I think will happen in issue number 700. So it continues off the last issue with Alpha basically having taken out Giganto. Fantastic Four and Spider-Man are being called like psychics compared to Alpha, which is stupid. And then Spider-Man goes to Mary Jane's nightclub and he talks to Mary Jane. She's talking to him, but he's kind of zoned out, and he realizes, oh wait, Alpha has no secret identity. Everybody knows who he is. He's Andrew Maguire, aka basically it's a mashup of Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire. If you didn't know that. So then we go to basically the chick that thinks that she is Alpha's girlfriend, Chrissy, basically, who Alpha seemed to like in the first issue quite a bit. But when she goes to his house, she sees that he is, making out with this hot blonde cheerleader. That in Alpha's way, he's like, oh, come on, she's a cheerleader. And then we have the Jackal show up and an odd girl who he calls Princess. Turns out that is a weird clone of the Spider Queen, hint why she's called Princess. And they attack Alpha. They exploit the fact that he can only use one power at a time and take him down. Then we have Spider-Man, who arrives at Alpha's house too late. So he finds out that most likely the Jackal has to do with it due to the fact that there's organic webbing there. And he and Mr. Modell make a kind of Alpha tracker. So Spider-Man goes out with that, uses that, finds Alpha at this abandoned school in Brooklyn. So essentially these clones of the Spider Queen attack Spider-Man. He defeats them until one of them uses a kind of stinger. Now the stinger supposedly makes Spider-Man pass out. Then we go to the Jackal. So basically the Jackal has Alpha in a special containment-like thing to make sure he doesn't use his powers against him, obviously. And he has a few of his loved ones in a weird web kind of trap. So then we have Spider-Man who appears, and the Jackal's like, wait, those, basically the stingers are based off of spider biology, so they shouldn't work on you at all. In turn, Spider-Man's like, oh, you caught my bluff, I was just acting the whole time. So he punches the Jackal, but it turns out that Jackal is just a weird clone. So then another clone of the Jackal comes out, and he releases clones of Alpha. But the thing is that Alpha's, DNA wasn't altered by the Alpha particles at all. So the clones have no powers. Pretty much they're useless. Then we have Spider-Man, who is now fighting the Spider Queen clones, and the Jackal is trying to basically figure out what's going on. And he decides that, you know what, if he can't clone the powers out of Alpha, he will harvest them out of him. So that freaks out Alpha because he's like, wait, no, if you take my powers, then I will just be a loser again. So because of that, Alpha flips out. He breaks the containment thing he was wearing and just destroys all the clones pretty much, which horrifies Spider-Man because he's doing it without thinking about it. Then the Jackal's like, oh, okay, I guess it's time for the big red button. He presses it and Alpha and Spider-Man get out of there, rescue the loved ones. Alpha is now like, you know what, I need better marketing. So he moves out of his house, gets a Manhattan penthouse, because in his words, I should be setting my sights way higher because it looks like I'm the most special thing in the whole world. Big ego much. The Fantastic Four don't like this at all. Ben Grimm's even saying that maybe it's time for a good Benjamin Grimm trademarked clobbering. Yeah, so we go to Alpha now in his Manhattan penthouse, and he's making out the supermodel. And then we have Mary Jane visiting Peter Parker at Horizon Labs, and we learn that basically Spider-Man has been getting Alpha to come to the lab to be tested. Alpha thinks those are tests, and basically if he goes through all the tests, then maybe he might have a spot on the Avengers. But what the truth is, though, if Alpha goes through those tests, what Peter Parker is really doing is trying to find a way to take away his powers without killing him. And in his words, he says, Alpha no more. Mary Jane's like, are you sure you can do that? And he's like, yeah, I gave him those powers technically, and I have to find a way to turn him back to normal. He's not worthy. His powers are his responsibility. Basically, that gives him all the say he needs, which I'm happy with because it seems that Peter Parker is probably finally understanding what every other reader has understood so far reading Alpha, which is no one likes him, and he's way in over his head, and he has no reason to have powers. Yeah, the next issue supposedly has on the cover, it makes it look like Alpha and Spider-Man are going to fight, which in my opinion, Spider-Man should win that. Alpha is totally unexperienced. Like, come on, if the Jackal is able to take down Alpha with a Spider-Queen clone, Spider-Man, with all of his experience and training and gadgets, should be able to take him down, especially if he's been testing Alpha all this time. Now, I said I had a theory earlier, and I believe that what's going to happen in issue number 694. But what's going to happen is supposedly Doc Ock's going to be involved. Andy Maguire is going to he's probably going to get his powers taken away. And then potentially Doc Ock might find a way to give him back his powers if he goes after Spider-Man. And that might and I think there might be a twist into that where like his powers are going to overwhelm him or something and he might die. And that will cause Peter Parker to just forever quit being Spider-Man, which would be a major thing that's being promised. And also, that would explain why we haven't seen an advertisement for Spider-Man yet in the Marvel Now thing. Maybe that's why. I have no idea. I'm not saying that's actually going to happen. It's just a theory. Most likely will not happen considering how popular Spider-Man is. I had to give my theory out there. Art 3.5, plot 2, writing 3, characters 4, enjoyment 7, 65% overall. I honestly, this issue is better than the last issue, but still wasn't that great. I expected more, especially from a main title of the Marvel Universe, like Spider-Man. Yeah, the plot was pretty stupid, to be honest. If you couldn't tell by the panels, I feel like they really underused the Jackal, considering what he's been up to lately. I don't know why they even put him in there at all. They could have used a B-list villain of Spider-Man, or a C-list villain of Spider-Man, like just someone much easier, I guess, that they could defeat and get it over with and come out with the same outcome. You know, I didn't think the writing was that great as well. Overall, 65%. This is Hybrid. Please subscribe, comment, and like, and see